3 is happening tomorrow, but this time in Miami, Florida. Tip-off is at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. In the midst of all the NFL draft rumors and news, we are going to be live for Game 3. The Boston Celtics got to clean up a lot of stuff before they do take on Miami Heat tomorrow. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. You got Allie Barefoot here, and if you want to see more of me, more of Smitty, well, thank God we're going live for every single Boston Celtics post-game. We got you covered for play-by-play highlight stats. We're going to be having some good drinks, having a lot of good content. So if you guys want to know everything about the Boston Celtics this entire postseason, this entire offseason, in the regular season, you guys know what to do. Hit that sub button for me. We need 150 more subscribers to reach our goal of 26,000. Let's go ahead and start on the 3 adjustments the Boston Celtics need to do facing Miami in Game 3. I don't think I'm alone in this. Perimeter defense. Holy S-H-I-T. I cannot express how much the Boston Celtics were lackluster around the three-point line against Miami in Game 2. And I'll give it to Miami, man. They shot a franchise record that night. The most three-pointers made in Miami Heat history in a playoff game. So I understand they're not going to be shooting upwards of 50% a night in this series from downtown. However, the lack of adjusting to this three-point shooting is what scares me the most. It not only scares me, it scares players on the team like Al Horford, who must have brought it up 7 to 10 times in his post-practice interview on Thursday, talking about how much the Celtics need to adjust in Game 3, going up against Tyler Herro, going up against Duncan Robinson, going up against Caleb Martin, and the rest of the resources that they had that can shoot a 3. Bam Adebayo thankfully took one shot from downtown and he missed it, but who's to say that couldn't happen again on Saturday? Al Horford, after practice on Wednesday, did want to emphasize the need for the adjustment here, and he did say to media, he said, we just have to be better. We have to be better at defending the three-point line. They shot a lot of them, then a lot of frequency. I know we'll be better next game. There will be more of an awareness to that. The fact that Al Horford, as Smitty calls him, the 38-year-old Dominican father of 5, can see they need to make this adjustment is telling Joe Mazzulla, kind of passive-aggressively, fix it. You got to fix it. Miami shot 50% from the 3 and 3 Eastern Conference games last year. So while I am just saying it may not happen every single game, it can, because that's how they can shoot the rock. But here's the good news. We have a different team this year. I know people have been throwing that around a lot, but it truly is when you have an all-defensive player in your backcourt who did not give you the best performance on defense surrounding that three-point line in Game 2. And Jrue Holiday, who I'm talking about, knows exactly what I mean. After practice, he did say that, look, the guys that we wanted to shoot, not that we let them, but it wasn't like a get out to them and put it on the ground type of thing. It was kind of like protect the basket but still get a closeout. But then they started knocking them in. We know Martin can shoot, but they had guys out there that were knocking in everything. Even Jaime Jaquez just knocking it in. So they're shooting them confidently and they're taking them, and they made them that night. So Jrue Holiday is pretty much revealing that Joe Mazzulla's plan was, hey, you know what? We're going to give him a little bit of defense here around the 3, but we're really focused around the rim, which I'm not surprised knowing they have Bam in the paint, who scored 24 points in Game 1 against Celtics. So I can see how Joe Mazzulla's thinking this. However, the fact that they didn't adjust when they started making those threes is what scares me. There was way too much cushion from Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis. You remember when the Golden State Warriors were just hanging off of Jaylen Brown, daring him to shoot? That's what it looked like. It wasn't just on drop coverage. It was 2 defenders, length in between the nearest three-point shooter, and the Heat had way too many open threes. You dared them to shoot, they are going to make it. You have got to tighten up how closely you are going to be defending the three-point line. I do not want to see KP 2 arms lengths away from Duncan Robinson shooting from downtown. I can't have that again. So with that being said, are you worried about Miami in Game 3, specifically shooting from downtown? Because I do think that is their main resource against the Celtics in this series, but it could just be Miami overall. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to break down 2 more adjustments that not only I think they need to work on, but also the Boston Celtics think they need to work on as well, coming up here in just a few moments. But first, I got to tell you about Prize Picks. I am so excited about my picks today here because there's so many sporting events going on. You still got the NBA playoffs. You got the MLB. NHL playoffs are also happening as well. And Prize Picks, who's constantly offering promotions, also did give me a free entry to play with here today because I had a NBA and an MLB pick in one entry the other day. So when Prize Picks offers me a promotion, I'm never going to turn it down. This is not the first time I've been awarded a free entry just for playing. But they also have Flex Friday going on right now. So if you guys want to make an entry, they will give you your money back if you don't win, up to $20 on that Flex Friday. So as you guys can see, this is my full real free play. I did four picks for a free power play for $142 of a payout. Of course, I took some demons in there. If I'm going to get a free pick, I might as well test my skills. A demon is a harder pick, but it pays a lot more. If you see the green version of this guy, it's an easier pick. It just doesn't pay out as much. So I got Shohei Ohtani to have at least one home run. Come on, Ohtani. Damian Lillard to have more than 4.5 3-pointers made. It's playoff time. It's Dame time. Miles Turner to have more than 9.5 boards going up against Milwaukee Bucks. And then I got Tyrese Halliburton to have more than 14 field goals attempted. These are my Prize Picks. Go ahead and make yours. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is truly that easy. You got to spread the wealth. I feel like this is just pretty obvious that it cannot be all on the Jays. While I am very proud of what Brown and Tatum did in Game 2 to keep them in that ball game by combining for over 60 points, that cannot happen again. And I understand Kristaps Porzingis has already addressed the media saying what he did in Game 2 was unacceptable, offensively and defensively. Derek White was pretty much a no-show until the fourth quarter. Drew Holiday, who never really helps out that much on offense in terms of big numbers. However, he does help out in assists. He helps out in O-boards. And I know that he can help out tremendously on defense, but it cannot be all on the Jays. You will lose in 5 if it is a Tatum and Brown show. I think the Miami Heat have too many resources to go up against 2 stars on the Celtics when the Celtics have 6 stars that they can play right now. 61 points combined in Game 2, and their total was, I believe, 101. And then when you add on to what the other starting 5 did, Drew was in foul trouble. Peyton Pritchard took 0 shots, which was extremely odd for a very aggressively offensive player off the bench. Derek White was a no-show until the fourth quarter. He had 4 points, and then he went all the way up to 13, which I am glad D. White knows how to turn it on in the fourth quarter because that is crunch time, but I got to see that throughout the rest of 3 quarters, D. White. Plus, the Heat did a good job of closing the lanes and filling the gaps. So I am going to give the Heat complete credit here of stopping the Celtics' resources in Game 2. They adjusted quickly. A lot of plays. Now Horford was driving down low, tried to make a nice kick out to Jaylen Brown, open for 3. Bam was right there. I understand that the Miami Heat probably play one of their best defensive games. The Celtics, probably 60% offensive level and effort that I got there in Game 2. Spray the 3 for the love. I want to see dribble drives and kickouts more than anything in Game 3. I remember one happening in the fourth quarter, and that was when Derek White decided to turn it on. Jason Tatum finally took advantage of that double team, took 2 defenders down in the paint, dished it back out to D. White, catch and shoot. He loves the catch and shoot threes in the fourth quarter. Spray the 3. More often than not, I think it's really going to help spread out the offense. I think it's going to mix up some of those double teams on the Miami Heat defense and make them work. Overall, the Heat adjusted to the lobs in the paint to Kristaps Porzingis, which scared the hell out of me. Because I watched this all regular season long, and I'm like, hey, thank God we have a 7'3" Tingus Pingus in the paint. That's always going to be an easy outlet. Wrong. Not when you're playing a game 7 times in a row, potentially, and not when they have Erik Spolestra. That lob to Kristaps Porzingis in the paint was taken out of the equation in Game 2. Not just by Bam, but by other Miami Heat defenders. Plus, it kept him from being aggressive around the rim. They took him with those mismatches. They had Jaime Jaquez on him in the paint. They had Duncan Robinson forcing him out into the wing, into the gaps. It was a mismatch that successfully did its job by not allowing KP to put it up at the rim, especially when he can't get those lobs from the point guards. Tingus was minus 32 in Game 2. That is horrible. Horrible. Nick Roloff's laughing in my face talking about Kristaps is the answer. He is, just not in game 2. The good news is, if I trust anybody on this team, it's Big Al. Whatever Big Al says, it's kind of like getting a hug, and you're like, you're right. Everything's going to be okay. Al has all the confidence in Kristaps Porzingis, as he should. He plays, practices with him every single day right next to him at that same position. So Al Horford's not worried. He said KP will be fine. You got to think KP was in Latvia last year watching these playoffs, so I do think he's going to bounce back in game 3. He knows what's at stake. And it's not just KP. The rest of the team understands what they did wrong. And that's the number one. Address your weaknesses and fix it going into game 3. Jaylen Brown, I love what Jaylen Brown has to say after games. I think he has the most dog in him when it comes to being most realistic in his post-game press conferences, saying, we just got to fight for our spacing. Got to be just as physical and look forward to it. Own our space. Catch the ball with physicality. Don't look for the ref to make the call. Jason Tatum. And embrace it. I think that's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. We've got to just embrace it. And I don't think we did. I think they embraced it a little bit more than we did. And I completely agree with that. Jaime Jaquez said after the game we wanted it more. They did. That's why they won. But here's the good news. In my opinion, I think the Miami Heat probably played their best offensive game. They probably have a little bit more in their bag on defense as well. But offensively, they only beat us by 10. And I think that was their best performance they're going to give here in this series. If it's not, then it's going to be a battle. With that being said, are you worried about Kristaps Porzingis' performance in Game 2? How concerned are you? 1, as in trade him tomorrow, I'm done with him, why the hell do we ever pick him up? Scale of 1 being not that worried, scale of 10 being trade him tomorrow. I got my numbers mixed up. You guys know I'm bad at mental math, but tell me how concerned you are about Porzingis' scale of 1 to 10. The last adjustments, I will say, there are a couple other things, but I really want to focus on this, is modify on the fly. The biggest thing I'm scared about is not a player. It's Erik Spolestra. He has crafted into becoming one of the best NBA coaches in the league right now, and I do think there is, without a doubt, you will be outcoached by Erik Spolestra. There's no disrespect to Joe Mazzulla on that. There are numerous teams and players who get outcoached by Spo. The Heat had every answer for the Celtics plays. They locked up Kristaps. They locked up Derek White. Drew Holiday didn't know who to defend because they were spreading out the offense so thin. I think that when you're going to have an answer from a coach like Spo, you need to modify on the fly. There were several plays on offense where I saw JT, 5 seconds left in the game clock, and he just decides to go ISO. And that's fine. That's great. But don't rely on it. Don't just keep throwing the ball around looking for somebody to get open. Actually have a plan. If you see your teammates being double teamed, come in with a screen. Come help him out. Separate. Cut. Do something to throw them off. Because if they know, screw it, let's just force it until about 15 seconds on that game clock. Give him about 5 seconds to shoot. We know Tatum's going to be ISO. Give him a little bit of a mismatch, a little bit of off-balance shot. It's not going to go in. If I can figure that out, Spo can figure that out. That's pretty easy. Modify on the fly, and I do think that'll at least throw off the players on the floor, make them call a timeout, makes them discuss it. But the good news is that I do have faith in Joe Mazzulla. I have faith in the starting 6. I got faith in the best bench in the NBA. In my opinion, the Celtics bounce back in Game 3. You can record this. You can take a video. I don't care. Use it against me. I'm calling it now. The Celtics are bouncing back in Game 3. If they don't, give me a fight. Give me a fight till 7. But I do think the Boston Celtics know what's at stake. I think they had that dog in them, and I think it'll be a different game here in Game 3. Hopefully they adjusted more than just what I talked about, but I want you guys to go on ahead and drop a comment down below. What do the Celtics need to change for Game 3 versus Miami? This is do or die. This is you can win, you can go home, you can take the lead, you can take the loss. All you got to do is make your adjustments, and I think Game 3 should be in the Celtics bag. And the good news is we're going to be live during it. Celtics versus Heat, Revenge of Kristaps Porzingis. That's the title I'm going to give this game here. We are going to be live. Come join us. We'll be live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Come find us here on Celtics Today, and as always, hit that sub button.